Everyone, to another episode of the So Not PC podcast / vlog with Rob Adamus, show on the YouTube channel and at my website, www.sonotpcpodcast.com. When I was originally going to write the next show, I had to switch gears for what I was going to do, so I threw that story completely out, and I realized I needed to talk about what happened in Christchurch, New Zealand yesterday. Now, as I go through this tragedy is one that happens every single day. So it's getting a lot of publicity, obviously, because number one, it is a horrible tragedy. Yet it's taking on a much bigger view around the world by mainstream media because of the fact that it was conducted at two mosques. So anyway, I'm going to give you a little bit of oversight. I know you're hearing an awful lot probably in the media, and you're going to hear a lot of different things, and I'm hearing what I thought I was going to hear, which unfortunately is a very right-wing slant, lies and propaganda, narrative talking point with mainstream media, as we know they tend to do. So once this show gets uploaded, I will actually have a link attached to this show where it shows the shooter recording the moments as he was driving to the mosque, while he was in the mosque, perpetrating 49 deaths at this count, to getting back into the vehicle and driving off. So I want to portray to everybody. Hopefully that link will continue to work, because social media is trying to take down every link attached to this. It's very graphic, so I warn those with, let's say, not so strong stomach to move forward or not, based upon your choice with that. So, Brenton Tarrant, the individual who walked into Masjid Al-Noor and Muslim Association of Canterbury Mosques, same address in Christchurch, New Zealand. There's about 11.5-minute video that I'm going to be attaching to this. Interestingly, as Brenton states, you can hear him speak periodically throughout the entire time he's driving. And there's a point in there where he says, subscribe to PewDiePie. Now, for those of you who don't know PewDiePie, most of you probably do, very popular YouTube channel, millions of subscribers. As to why he points that out, I'm not really sure at this point. There's going to be a lot of details coming out in the next few days, I have to assume. And he played a couple of songs. One was British Grenadiers March and Fire by The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, before and after the shooting. Now, I noticed on YouTube many people went to the song Fire after the shooting to listen to those words, satanic, with the subtitle Psychedelic Art to diffuse the true undertone of the lyric content of the entire record. Okay, it was very satanic in nature. Okay, now let's take a close look at what this terrible attack is about. It wasn't about right-wing extremism as it's being played out to be, and in actually a lot of the things that this Brenton Tarrant was actually trying to portray. That's a false flag talking point narrative that mainstream media will portray in their continual lies and propaganda machine. Brenton Tarrant is actually a left-wing extremist. Okay, he's a fan of communism. And although the pieces of this puzzle are going to come together, and they may never come together fully, I'm going to throw this seed for thought to any of the listeners, and that is, this is unfortunately only one coming attraction of an ever-increasing number of these types of attacks, most of which will continue to be perpetrated by military-age illegals in Europe and North America, and will be continued to covered up or lied about by MSM, unfortunately, as we know. In this case, it's getting a lot of coverage because of the fact that it's a white man as the main perpetrator. Now, apparently there are 2 other men and 1 woman involved in this, and the names have not yet been released. The Liberal Party and the Demon Rat Party, as I call them in the United States, the left-wingers, extreme left-wing parties here, this is going to be a classic narrative that they're going to push in order to de-weaponize the citizens of Canada and the United States. We all know what happened to Venezuela when they gave up their guns. We have people fighting dogs and cats in the streets for food and drink. Okay, that's coming here. It's already here in a more subtle form. And for those who are not yet awakened, you need to get this information out. And I know most of you are doing that. So I applaud you for that. Now, I'll kind of throw this one out there. This is a theory. Maybe completely wrong, but I'll throw it out there as a potential option. I think most of you have heard of MK Ultra, the mind control program that CIA was running decades ago. That's always a possibility in a case like this, because it's been proven many a time that people who perpetrate these types of attacks oftentimes are under that kind of mind control type of program. Now, to give you an overview of Brenton Tarrant, he described himself as an ethno-nationalist eco-fascist, having previously identified himself as a communist, an anarchist, and a libertarian. That's really going across the board here. He wrote he believed in ethnic autonomy for all peoples with a focus on the preservation of nature and the natural order. Now, as far as the natural order goes, that's a personal opinion. Okay, so I don't know exactly what he means in this case. But watch and listen to MSM, dice and splice his words, the manifesto, and any other form of communication to further the left wing's plan here. Okay? In the dossier, he made reference to the horrific SCAF gang rapes in Sydney in the year 2000. But his manifesto suggested he was preoccupied with rapes that occurred in England and more recently in Germany by non-Europeans. In particular, he referenced the sexual exploitation of approximately 1,400 children in the northern English town of Rotherham in the late 1980s, 90s, and 2000s, primarily by British Pakistani men. Along with references to Rotherham, inscriptions on Tarrant's equipment mention Alexandra Bissonnette and Luca Traini, mass shooters in Canada and Italy respectively. Now, Alexandra Bissonnette is the gentleman who killed the 6 individuals in the mosque in Quebec City in January 2017. Got 40 years with no eligibility of parole. Yet we had the individual who was a terrorist himself, who killed 9 people in Toronto, and of course Trudeau and the left-wing media decided that that wasn't a terrorist attack. Well, you can guarantee that individual is not going to get 40 years. If he gets anything, he will get a lot less. Okay? Tarrant also included the names of several Serbian military figures such as Milos Obilic, an apocryphal knight featuring prominently in accounts of the 1389 Battle of Kosovo against the invading Ottoman Empire, the Islamic superpower of its day, which was alleged to have assassinated the Ottoman Sultan. Now, Tarrant was making a lot of references in this apparent dossier to the Serbian prince, Lazar Labenjevic, whom Obilic served and who was killed in the Battle of Kosovo. Other names inscribed on Tarrant's weaponry included Bajo Pivlenian and Novak Vojosevic, each of whom had led uprisings against the Ottomans during later periods and were considered heroes within their communities, as well as Montenegrin General Marko Miljanov. Okay, Eastern Europe. My mom was from that part of the world. Told me a lot about what went on there in history. Also inscribed on his guns and ammunition were references to the 1683 Battle of Vienna, in which Christian forces defeated the Ottomans, in 1571, an apparent reference to the Battle of Lepanto, in which the Empire suffered another defeat. Music was playing in the car in the background throughout the video of Terrence attack, one in the Serbian language and one in German. The Serbian song references the butcher of Bosnia, Radovan Karadzic, a convicted war criminal and the political leader of Bosnian Serbs. Quote, "Are on the move from Krajina, fascists and Turks beware. Karadzic, lead your Serbs, let them see they fear no one," the lyrics say. Now, it wasn't immediately clear whether Tarrant was involved in far-right neo-Nazi groups in Australia, where he's originally from. However, imagery from Tarrant's now-removed Twitter profile bears striking similarity to those used by an extreme right anti-immigration group called the Dingoes. In his writing, Tarrant echoed views expressed by Anders Breivik, the Norwegian right-wing terrorist who killed 77 people with a van bomb and gun massacre in Norway in 2011. He specifically mentioned Breivik by name, claiming he had, quote, brief contact with the mass murderer and had received a blessing for his actions from Breivik's associates. In the case of psychopathic people, they often tend to claim such things which come with no validity. So, interestingly, the dossier also praised U.S. President Donald Trump as a, quote, symbol of renewed white identity and common purpose. Now, I can call BS on that one because of the fact President Trump is one that has always been through the decades, long before he ever became president, about equality. He's never been racist. He's never been a bigot. He's done more for, quote, colored communities than the colored leaders in those communities. And they even go so far as to admit to that. That's factual. Okay, unfortunately, in Canada, mainstream media, CBC, CTV, and Global News spend more time putting down Trump than they do talking about Trudeau. That's called hundreds of millions of dollars of liberal and George Soros funded liberal party stuff. So, anyway, what will this massacre lead to, this particular story in North America? Well, I think we've been seeing it, or those of us who follow social media and not so much mainstream news, is continued division, escalation of hate, rise in fear amongst the population, rise in suicides, brought on often by prescription drugs, deflection of people's minds away from the real perpetrators of these ills, and more. By creating diversionary stories, and let's put this into perspective, this is a tragedy, a horrible, horrible thing. My heart, and I know good people around the world, our hearts go out to the Muslim community in New Zealand as much as it would be anywhere. Our hearts go out to the massacres that happen against Christians every single day, conservatives every day. You know, it doesn't matter. There's good people around the world. Doesn't matter what your faith is, your so-called religion, your color, your creed. It doesn't matter. These are tragedies that shouldn't happen, but it has throughout mankind. For those who understand this and research much the way that I do, these are end time prophecies coming to fruition. And unfortunately, events like this will continue to increase, as it is written, in number and in severity. Now, lest we forget the Las Vegas massacre in October 2017, a friend of mine was there, and he stated emphatically at that time there were definitely more than one shooter. And in that Las Vegas case, and in this New Zealand case, Stephen Paddock was named as the only shooter in Las Vegas, And Brent and Tarrant, they're two scapegoats, easy scapegoats, in a much larger game, where the real orchestrators of these massacres sit in what I would call thinking rooms in their palatial homes, laughing at how easy it is to manipulate the minds of the average Joe and profit tremendously from such heinous crimes as what happened yesterday. Globalists and their puppets like Justin Trudeau, Macron in France, who's Trudeau's bromance, Theresa May in the UK, Angela Merkel in Germany. Australia's having problems, big time. They have one agenda, and that's total enslavement of society. Now, we patriots, and unfortunately there's nowhere near enough of us yet, we can't stop. We need to take progressive actions every single day, because I'm going to put it into what I believe it to be a very simple game of what this is. And it's good versus evil. We, the good, with God, versus Satan and evil. We take actions with faith, we win. We don't take actions with God and faith, we lose. Simple enough. So, updates will come as more news comes out, and hopefully truthful news. Of course, I'll do my best in terms of researching that and putting updates out there as to how this particular event progresses. And again, more events like this will happen, so be prepared. So until the next show, keep the faith. As my mantra of the show goes, do your own research. I give you as much as I can and what I find on different topics, but it's up to you to go out there. Take your actions with it. Love to hear from you. Become more learned. Share the truthful information and take progressive action against tyranny and the globalist agenda every day. It's a must. So, watch and share my show on YouTube, SoNotPC Podcast/vlog with Rob Adamus, and my website, www.sonotpcpodcast.com. I'm very grateful and humble for all of you for tuning in and sharing the show and having it grow as it's been growing. So until next time, God bless you and your family in all things. Good night.